Hello everyone and welcome back to Xbox Nation. My name is Fletcher and this is a video where we're going to take a look at the upcoming Xbox and Xbox Game Pass games for this week and to see if ultimately any of them are worth your time and or money. I won't lie, it is a pretty sizable week this time around with some very anticipated titles and I cannot wait to show you more later on this week. So with that and enough chattering from me, let's just dive right into things. First up, we have Winds of Arcana Ruination, and this was a game that I was unfamiliar with before it was announced for Xbox Game Pass a couple weeks back now. Back then, I did mention that this one is basically a Metroidvania with that whole 2.5D style to it, but it has you playing as Aaron as he's on a quest to save his comrades. Since that announcement, I have done a little bit more digging to understand a bit more about this game, and it looks as though it's already been out on Steam for about a year now. It has some alright reviews too from what I've seen, and some people do say it's very reminiscent of The Lost Crown, and that's due to how clean the combat can be. At the very same time, it's not without its fair share of negative reviews as well, with many saying it can be very difficult and also quite buggy. I don't really know how I feel about this one. I personally feel it looks quite dated. Still, if you are interested, it will be landing onto Xbox and day one onto Xbox Game Pass on the 6th of July. I know many of you will be in the same boat as me and will be incredibly excited for the full launch of Doom the Dark Ages Revelations, and as someone who recently got the full 1000 gamer score, more Doom is always going to be music to my ears. We have seen some early previews now with many outlets saying it's certainly more difficult than the base game, but the movement abilities and the new spear make it much better. It has a better map design as well alongside structure and has a total of 6 new levels and an enormous hub world. Apparently the new details have surfaced that this DLC alone takes 10 to 12 hours to complete, which is completely wild for a DLC and is the largest Doom expansion that's ever been released. I wasn't able to get my hands on this one with any previews or early reviews, but do expect me to do some coverage on this one just shortly after its launch. For me, the largest game releasing for this entire week has to be Assassins Creed Blackflag Resynced, and as someone who has a massive Assassin's Creed Road tattoo on my upper arm, I am beyond bloody hyped. This one of course is a faithful remake of the original game from many moons ago, but this time Ubisoft have overhauled quite a few mechanics to bring it in line with today's gaming sphere, but are still keeping the unique identity intact while still giving us more content as well. For me, Black Flag was a masterpiece, and from what I've seen so far, Resynced looks visually incredible. Of course, I do have some skepticism about the combat, since it's now due to be a bit more fluid and in line with the newer AC games, but also not being an RPG, which is kind of music to my ears, to be honest. The idea of just singing sea shanties and taking on an additional 6 to 10 hours of game is incredible. It does arrive on the 9th of July, and yeah, stay tuned for this one.
Can you feel it, Addy? We're moments away from the grandest prize of all.
Let me know as well if you're going to be delving into this one in the comments below. And just on a very brief note, we now have an Xbox Nation Instagram. I never like promoting this sort of stuff, but I will be posting videos, behind the scenes stuff, and loads of gaming news from Gamescom whilst I'm actually over there this year. So yeah, do check it out with the link below and expect some cool stuff from me in the near future. But now, let's get back into the games. EA Sports College Football 27 is the next entry in the yearly sports franchise, and I believe this is now the 3rd entry since it actually got revived. Obviously, I'm not an American football fan and I don't really know how any of it works, but I know you fans of this sport are actually really happy with how this franchise sits, especially compared to the likes of Madden. Of course, that sentiment may have changed. I don't really keep up to date with it, and from my experience of playing the usual EAFC sports franchises every year, I know that the games do get less and less positive as time goes on. I have done some digging though to find out some of the changes and upgrades so you're aware of them, but this new entry seems to have improved gameplay, the ability to play entire matches as mascots, and an all-new Dynasty blueprint that puts you in control of your program's future. Honestly, I have no idea what that is, but yeah, it sounds cool. If you are interested, this one will arrive on the 9th as well, and there will be a 10-hour free trial on Xbox Game Pass if you're an Ultimate subscriber. Anime fans have something pretty interesting heading their way on the very same day with Echoes of Aincrad. I've probably butchered that name, but hey ho. This new adventure from Bandai Namco takes us back to the iconic floating castle, but this time around you'll be experiencing the world for your own custom created character. You'll be able to customize your appearance, weapons and equipment and abilities before heading out to the world of Aincrad. The combat appears to take some sort of inspiration from Souls-like games and dungeon crawlers, with a greater emphasis on timing, positioning and also adapting your build depending on how you prefer to fight. updates. Outside of the combat, there are mentions of towns to visit, loads of side quests for you to complete, dangerous dungeons to dive into, and then plenty of hidden treasures scattered throughout the regions. I always thought that the world of Sword Art Online was kind of perfect for these sort of ambitious RPGs, and if the combat and progression systems come together properly, I reckon this could be one of the more interesting anime games that's arrived in the past couple of years. One game that has a genuinely fascinating setup is Hellclock, and this is a brand new fast-paced roguelike inspired by one of the darkest chapters in Brazilian history. Upon looking deeper into this one, you play as Peju, I hope I'm saying that name right, but he's basically a warrior descending deeper into a supernatural nightmare to rescue the soul of his fallen mentor, known as the Counselor. The gameplay from what I've seen is all about speed, powerful builds, and then deciding how far you're willing to push every single run. You'll be fighting through hordes of undead enemies while collecting relics, unlocking new abilities, and then combining different blessings. Yeah, it's just that traditional roguelike formula you kind of know these days. Obviously with that, the combat looks incredibly chaotic. You got loads of rapid knife attack, huge bells that can come crashing down, and firearms as well. What's encouraging is that PC players seem to have been really enjoying this game since it's been out on there for over a year now. The Steam reviews overall are quite highly rated, so yeah, it looks like a decent roguelike. If you do enjoy games like Hades or even Diablo with a strong roguelike structure, then Hellclock is definitely one to put on your radar when it lands this week. Now, if you've played games like Medieval Dynasty or Sengoku Dynasty, then Viking Frontiers should immediately be on your radar, as it's a very similar premise. The big difference, as you've probably guessed, is that this time you're trying to survive and build a new life as a leader of a Viking clan. It centers around you arriving on an unknown shore, and then your responsibility is to reunite your people, establish a brand new settlement, and eventually prove yourself worthy of becoming Jarl. That does mean in typical survival fashion, gathering resources, hunting, farming, crafting, constructing buildings, and then making sure the needs of your growing clan are actually being met. It certainly seems a little rough around the edges in areas from what I've seen gameplay wise from PC on YouTube so far, but the early feedback from what I've seen on Steam so far has been encouraging, particularly around its depth of its survival and its management systems. If you're someone who can lose dozens of hours building settlements and watching them gradually grow, then yeah, Viking Frontiers is going to be the game for you. We are finally due to receive the 1.0 release of Palworld for this week, and as someone who put the game down waiting for this moment after the initial release, yeah, I'm going to have to jump into it again when I do get the time this month. There have been questions asked about what's going to be new about this update, and we've seen very small trickles of information coming from Pocket Bear, as they want to really kind of keep this one under wraps. All we know currently is that the game will contain 27 pages of changes, updates, and improvements, and with how well the game has fared, I suspect many of you will be jumping into it yet again. With the idea of larger and more powerful creatures to collect, an improvement and continuation of the story, as well as a fish pal that can literally turn into a sword, it sounds incredible. There have been some small videos teased over on their social media pages whilst making this video, and there is more of an emphasis on verticality and flying, alongside loads of new base building options, revamped worlds, and so much more. Yeah, I suspect this update is going to be massive, and do expect me to do a review of this one shortly after its launch. I've been personally waiting on a release date for Wuthering Waves for quite some time, and now we've finally got one. The open world action RPG will come to both the series consoles at the end of this week on the 10th of July, and of course this one is free to play. For those of you who aren't aware, this is a popular story-rich open world action RPG with a high degree of freedom, and it was previously a console exclusive on PlayStation 5, but is now finally making its way to Xbox. Apparently the game will also have some benefits for Game Pass subscribers, including an exclusive sigil and regular repeating gift packs featuring various in-game bonuses. A lot of people have been waiting a long time for this one, but to be honest, I've never played it myself. I always look forward to discovering what all the hype is about with Wuthering Waves when it finally lands in less than a week's time, and let me know how you feel about this one in the comments below. Now, of course, we will have some more Xbox Game Pass news and announcements this coming Tuesday, so yeah, subscribe if you want to keep up to date with that. But I just wanted to quickly mention we have an update for Xbox Game Pass Essential. We've not really seen much movement since the change last year, but in a surprising move out of nowhere, 5 games have quietly joined the service. 4 of the new additions started appearing as part of the Xbox Game Pass Essential lineup on the 1st of July, with that being Costume Quest 2, and 3 games in the Shadowrun trilogy, that being Returns, Dragonfall, and Hong Kong. If you go back a little further, Full Throttle Remastered was also added to that tier in the middle of June, making that 5 games that have joined the Essential tier over the past few weeks without any kind of announcement from Xbox themselves. I thought it was totally worth mentioning it in this video, as I have seen a few of you asking about Essential, so yeah, some decent games for you to get stuck into. What games are you going to be diving into this week though? Let me know down below, and do like this video if you enjoyed. I want to know if you're going to be sailing the high seas on Assassin's Creed Blackflag, because yeah, I'm just so beyond pumped for that one. Do subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis as well, and a big shout out to our channel members, including our Xbox Nation commanders, Another Orphan, Shadow Wesker 1, and Daniel Scott. For members, I am also currently giving away a copy of Abyssus, so do make sure to join below on any tier, and the winner will be drawn on Wednesday the 8th of July. Whilst here though, do check out the video on screen now if you want to check out the massive Xbox news that has been occurring, including a big new feature that could be an absolute game changer if Xbox get it right.